Hey, I'm Susan Palmer of Lead Cat Press. Welcome to my studio update. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is number 52, you guys. That's a lot. So each time I put one of these out, at least the later ones, I try to have several components in them. Technique, reading, chords, soloing, tunes, a pro tip, all kinds of stuff in here to help you out. These are specifically designed for my current students so that they have things to refer to in between our weekly lessons. But I have to admit, I also do them in case there's somebody out there who comes upon this and is like, hey, that person seems very organized and probably holds their students accountable to stuff. So if you are interested in guitar lessons, please reach out. My website and all the links and stuff are below. So let's get started. I want to first begin just by playing a tune that I've been really digging, and it's called This I Dig of You. So I'm going to play that for you, and then we're going to get to all the rest of the stuff. So thanks again, you guys. In earlier videos, I've taken the C major scale and played triads that are within that C major scale, which sounds something like this. This time, I'm doing descending triads. So instead of starting with C, E, G, I'm going to play G, E, C. Then I'm going to play A, F, D, B, G, E, and so on. I do this in all 5 of the scale patterns. Using the cage system, just so you get a good idea of how to fret all of those. So here goes. I'm going to demonstrate a reading study from Barry Galbraith's The Fingerboard Workout. I'm going to play the one in D flat. And this is a really serious book. I'll drop the link below. But I usually recommend this to students after they've completed Volume 1 of the Guitar Lesson Companion. Now, this book is going to give absolute beginners, all the stuff that they need to know to learn how to read music in open position and then in all of the positions up through 12th position. So highly recommend this. I wrote it. I'll drop the link below for this one as well. But this one should go first. Then you can read all kinds of stuff, including this really advanced book. asked one of my students to play the chords to Polka Dots and Moonbeams this week, and this is what he sounded like. All the right chords in all the right places. Now I encouraged him to add some half steps to those chords, just a little bit of a push to get into those chords. And you can approach this two different ways. We could half step into a chord from below, which I think is really cool, or you could descend by a half step into a chord, which is also very cool. And then I encouraged him to use more than one half step occasionally. And at first, when you're introducing a concept like this, it's important to just play the heck out of it. So put it everywhere. And then later you can kind of cultivate it how you want it to sound. But just getting used to that strategy can be really helpful. So I gave him just an idea of how to play that intro, the intro chords to that, and I'll demonstrate that so you can kind of get that in your ear, and then you have kind of a reference to start from for this idea. So I half stepped into the F major 7 from a half step below. Then I half stepped down to the D minor 7. Then to get to the G minor, I actually started with F minor 7 and I went up kind of quickly to that G minor 7. And then I used a descending D flat to C dominant 9. So once again we get it just sounds a little jazzier. I like to make sure that my students know and understand all the note names on the neck, the scale patterns, the keys, the chord tones, all of that stuff. But along with that, I like to help students develop their ears. And one way to do that is to think of kind of a simple song, a nursery rhyme song, something like Happy Birthday or the alphabet song, and have students play that in all the positions up the neck in one key. By doing that, you're teaching your hands what those intervals sound like. I don't give them the music for that. They have to do it by ear, and that's why I choose those kind of simple songs to do that. Now in this study, this demonstration here, I'm going to play Ruldoph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in a bunch of different places on the neck using the cage system. Some of them have 2 octaves of where you can play that. And this is an assignment I've had a bunch of my students do recently, and it's hard. We think we know that song, but it's a little elusive in time, so that's why I wanted to make a recording for my students. Now I'm also demonstrating this just so you can see, or so students can see that, yes, I can do this, and this is kind of what it looks like. I want you to be, if you're studying with me anyways, don't look at my fingers on there. You can use that as a general understanding of where to play things, but I really want you to, figure this out by ear, not by looking at, oh, my finger goes here for this note. That's not what I want you to develop. You can do that with other YouTube videos. But for this one, just be listening to the melody and get that in your ear and then try to find it in those 5 different positions. Again, some of those are going to be in 2 different octaves, so do a thorough job. By completing this, you're going to be better able to play melodies by ear, simple melodies. Hopefully you'll be able to develop your musical imagination so you can kind of follow those lines. You'll be able to respond to what your bandmates or fellow musicians are playing in real time because you'll just intuit, you'll know where those notes are. You'll also be able to figure out songs from recordings or musical ideas or licks from recording. So this kind of helps develop all of that. But it's a long way from your musical imagination to your guitar, and so this is one way that we can kind of start to link them together. Again, it's a tough process to do. That's why I made this part of the video for my students who are working on this. So I hope you get a kick out of this and have fun learning it. want to take a concept that you may understand conceptually and give you a practical application for it. I want to look at the chords C major, E minor, and A minor. And you could think of those chords as all really being one chord because they have shared notes in them. So a C major chord is spelled C, E, G. An E minor chord is spelled E, G, and B. So those two chords, if we put them together, they would spell a C major 7 chord. What that means is that whenever you see a C major chord, you could try playing one of your E minor 7 voicings to see how that sounds. And you may be surprised that it sounds kind of cool. Now, C major has a relative minor, which is A minor, and those two chords also share some notes. That's why they're related. So C major, again, is C, E, G, and A minor is A, C, E. If we put those two chords together, we get a C major 6 chord. So again, it's functioning as a C major chord. And that means that you can use your A minor 7 voicings or A minor voicings to play over a C major chord, and it'll sound like a C6 chord. That can kind of blow your mind a little bit, just knowing that, and then thinking, wow, I've got to kind of double think on all of these chords on the chord charts. And, that's kind of how it works for a little while until everything becomes integrated for you. So an idea I had was to take kind of the notes on the high E string and think of that as my melody and put some of these different chords in there so you can kind of hear how that sounds. I'm gonna have one that's out of place, and that's to deal with the note F. And so for F, in that C major scale that I'm going to play, so C major has no sharps or flats, so I'm playing E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I think I'll probably go up that high. All those are natural notes. That note F is a little problematic, so we'll get there. So for the first, I'm just going to play a C note, just to kind of get that in your ear. And I'm going to play just the top 4 strings, because I'm thinking of an E minor 7 chord. Sounds pretty to me. The next one, I'm going to keep that C in my bass. I'm going to play a D minor. So I told you this was kind of the weird one. There's always some kind of weird exception in music, so I apologize for that. I didn't invent that. It's the beautiful thing that we get. It's the little flaw there that makes it all work out. So I'm going to play C and then D minor 7 there. And, that sounds pretty cool too. So we have C and E minor and then C and D minor. Now I'm going to play this E minor 7 voicing you may know to D string root if you're thinking of the cage system. And I'm just going to drop that C down there so you can kind of hear that as well. Okay, so that sounds all right. Now I'm going to play A minor 7. You know that from right here, but I'm going to put that C in the bass. So you know that works. Then I'm going to play another E minor 7 so I can get that B on top. And again, let's just refer to that so you can hear how wonderful that sounds. Then I'm going to play this A minor 7 and another D string root. And you can kind of hear that C in there, how nice that sounds. Then I'm going to play E minor 7 and a G string root. And there it is with that C in the bass there. That sounds so nice. C major 7. And then I'll play the D minor 7 again. I think that still sounds pretty cool. And then here I'm just playing C 6-9. It's always kind of one of my go-tos. But you could also play an E minor 7 right there and get that C on that. So I just want you to kind of play with those sounds. Like I have a bunch of drone bass tracks. Pick out the C drone track, and experiment, with how these different chords sound. And you can experiment, use other ones. You can mix and match those, but try to get that in your mind that it's all the same chord. So, I hope that kind of enlightens a little bit or gives you something to think about when you can't sleep at night. The pro tip I have to offer you is to think of your tunes like a garden. And when I think of a garden, I think of something that you've got to tend to on a daily basis. And it's rarely done. There are moments where things are looking good, but there's always some weeds to pull, some fruit to gather, some plants to protect. I want you to think about your tunes that way, because it's not going to be the case where you play a tune, you get it right, and then you have it forever. There's always things you have to keep going back to and making sure that everything is the way that you want it, and there's maybe some different ways you would want to develop different ideas in the tune. So treat your tunes, treat your repertoire like a garden that you have to tend to on a regular basis.